Guys, Star Wars has been saved, because guess what? The next installment in live action Star Wars is coming sometime this summer. And frankly, I can't wait for it. I cannot wait for it because it's Star Wars The Acolyte. What's that, you ask? To be fair, I don't actually know specifically. All I know is that it is brought to you by former assistant to Harvey Weinstein, Leslie Headland, in her first foray into running a show. What could possibly go wrong? But I thought at the beginning of this year, right there on New Year's Eve, that Charmaine Obaid-Chinoy, who wasn't even name-checked in a Disney's most recent earnings call as having her Rey movie go into production or anything like that, but it definitely bodes well for her, that it's finally time for a woman to take control of a franchise from a galaxy far, far away. Yeah, no, definitely the first time that that's going to happen, but after years and years of being threatened with a release for the public, The Acolyte finally has a release window. So strange. It's so strange because the last time that we had one of these not Mando adjacent projects from Star Wars release, it was also getting released around another high profile release in House of the Dragon, and apparently this is supposed to coincide with that, so you're going to have something that's going to be exceptionally great, which, oh please be good, season 2 of House of the Dragon, and then at least be hilarious, The Acolyte. I'm sure it's going to be. And the last time that happened was in 2022 when you had the quartet Star Wars releases, at least that one, or I'm sorry, of big tentpole releases with, Amazon's Rings of Power. I don't even want to, put Lord of the Rings in my mouth when I say crap like that. House of the Dragon, season 1, obviously. She-Hulk, and a little old Andor, which, people who watched it like, and then people with short attention spans who just think that, Star Wars is damaged beyond repair, just think, it's just boring. No, you just have poor taste in things. But maybe The Acolyte will be that second look stunner, I'd imagine. The newest Star Wars series may be coming a lot sooner than expected. Well, it's been done for years. Like, Christ almighty, okay? People who are in the know on this stuff knows that The Acolyte has been basically done, and it's just been awaiting release for the better part of 2 years now. So, according to one new report, The Acolyte should be hitting D+ this summer. According to Collider, a firm release date has yet to be revealed, though the site does say fans should be able to visit a galaxy far, far away sometime in summer of 2024. The Acolyte is expected to be one of 2 Star Wars shows hitting Disney Plus this year, the other being, yes, an animated fare and skeleton crew based on the pirates that invaded Navarro in season 3 of Mandalorian. Yay. But it has Jude Law, a part of it. Whatever that means. I don't know how much he moves the needle anymore. Remember when he was everywhere? Oh my god, that reminds me. Was that the Golden Globes where somebody made that offhanded remark that Jude Law was a part of everything? It's like, and even if he isn't in prominent roles, you just take a look at the credits in the aftermath, and you'll realize that, Jude Law brought catering one day onto the set, and then Sean Penn in a big huff came up on, excuse me, Jude Law is one of the brightest actors we have in the business. And then after that, his career kind of faltered. Kind of strange how that ended up working out, but that's just always what I associate Jude Law with whenever I see his name. But what is The Acolyte about? Good question. The Acolyte is set 50 years prior to the events of The Phantom Menace, which is turning 25 this year. Wow, that's crazy. And it's getting a full theatrical re-release, which is interesting. It's going to be interesting to see, because that'll be a fun thing to play, comparison with, run a bunch of numbers against, because at the time of its release, back in 99, I remember the hype was insane for that, and it wasn't until a lot of revisionist history decades later where a lot of people started to turn on the prequels. But my best friend who lived across the street from me at the time, actually for my birthday, like I've never really been that big of a Star Wars fan to begin with. I have respect for the first 6 and only 6 films, but I got a couple of the video games and stuff like that. I played the first 2 Battlefronts and all that jazz. I think I might have played another one on the PS2, but my mind's a little bit foggy on that. But I did end up getting piece of Star Wars memorabilia from my best friend who lived across the street for my birthday. And it was a Naboo starfighter, but it was one of those really cool ones. It was just a little model, right? It was metal, it had the little plastic tips on the end of it, and it was a full stand-up thing. Like, it was really nice, like, really expensive, and I'm sure if I would have, maintained it a little bit better, and I don't actually know even where it is anymore, I might have gotten rid of it or something like that, but like I said, we're pushing 25 years at this point in time. That thing might actually be worth something, but yeah, like I said, it'll be interesting to run back some numbers when Phantom Menace ends up hitting the theaters here towards the end of the year, because Lucasfilm needs to put something out to get a wash wash the taste of Dial of Derpstiny out of everybody's mouth from 2023. Now they're going back and they're pilfering the prequels, even though they tried to disassociate the brand from that because they thought that those were going to be the worst things that was ever going to come out of Star Wars. In a period of the Star Wars, yes, called the High Republic. During this time, the Jedi reign supreme and the Sith are long thought extinct. Now we're talking about political and personal and spiritual things that came up in the time and the period, and we don't know much about the Acolyte creator. Leslie Headland explained in a previous interview. Like, it's an interesting premise, but also filling it with a lot of feminist politics, which is, oh my god, it's on brand for Disney, for Lucasfilm. But again, you're squandering a premise that is so ripe with cool stories to tell. My question when watching The Phantom Menace was always like, well, how did things get to this point? How do we get to the point where the Sith Lord can infiltrate the Senate and none of the Jedi pick up on it? Like, what went wrong? What are the scenarios that led us to this moment? We actually use the term Renaissance or the Age of Enlightenment. Yes, of course, because in a galaxy, or I'm sorry, in a time a long ago in a galaxy far, far away. There you go. Why would you be using the same terms that, people in the 15th and 16th centuries in Europe were using? I'm so glad that you get narcissists and solipsists to write all of your stuff. The Jedi uniforms are gold and white, and it's almost like they would never get dirty. They would never be out and about. The idea that they could have these types of uniforms is because how they're getting into skirmishes. But yes, now the show's ensemble includes a bunch of women. Amanda Steinberg, of course, Lee Jung-jae, Manny Jacinto, Daphne Keene, Jodie, Rebecca, Charlie, Dean Charles, Carrie Ann Moss. All right, that's the big name attached to this one. Fantastic. I look forward to people mocking and ridiculing this, and then for it to just go ahead and dissipate to the four winds, just like the rest of the Star Wars shows. And remember, guys, if these things were good, people would still be talking about them. Every once in a while, you'll hear people talk about Star Wars and, new Star Wars, the stuff that they like and the stuff that they don't like. And, season 1, maybe season 2 of The Mandalorian will come out, but the rest of the projects, and there has been a lot of them, never get discussed. They're the greatest thing going at the time, but have you heard anybody recently bring up how great Ahsoka was? No, that just came out, not but 6 months ago? Like I brought up before in Andor, it came out. It had a $200 million budget. It was really good, really well written. But nobody gave it a chance because, it's a story about a character who's already dead. Yeah, that's why the prequels ended up making, $5 billion? Good thought process on that. Just say that you're sick of Star Wars and then just move on with it. We understand. We'll get it. But that's the type of brand damage that has been done to at one point in time, the most popular and profitable cinematic franchise in history. You turned it into slop for a dying streaming service. Congratulations, Disney. Only people with that much money and that much ineptness could have possibly done this, and could also turn one of your most popular characters with one of the most talented actors out there into an e-bagger. Like, bro, you tell me your franchise is dead without telling me your franchise is dead. Star Wars lead Ewan McGregor, who expertly, even for as bad as that series was, even for as badly written as Obi-Wan was, Ewan McGregor, just his career, Ewan McGregor gave her socks, bringing Obi-Wan back to the screen. There were a couple of scenes are actually really good that he did, and I'm not even concluding his toxic fans, trying to dismiss them because people are being mean to Moses Ingram and her terrible Reva character online. I'm sure they were, Ewan. I'm glad the check cleared from Disney. But it's so bad. It's so bad. You have somebody who can play the perfect character, telling the story in the perfect time that you have the opportunity to. You have Ewan McGregor wanting to come back as Obi-Wan Kenobi right at the point in time where you have Hayden Christensen able to portray a more mature Anakin Skywalker, wanting and desiring to come back and playing Darth Vader, or even doing a pseudo Clone Wars, or just filling in the gaps between Clone Wars and Revenge of the Sith. You have all of that stuff, but yet you have Ewan making a desperate plea, asking fans to write to Disney for a second season of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Wow. That is That is so goddamn sad. But that's what happens, man. You had the most important story that you could have possibly told. You were trying to fill in the gaps. What was Obi-Wan Kenobi doing after Revenge of the Sith, but before A New Hope? What was it like for him in that interim period after seeing the fall of the Jedi, the rise of the Empire, the ascension of Darth Vader, somebody who he created, him having to look after Luke Skywalker, ending up just doing a escort mission for an insufferable child actor, completely and totally retconning the backstory between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Leia Organa, and then trying to sneak her out of a Sith base underneath a fucking trench coat. What the hell, man? What? That was abysmal. Absolutely abysmal. And oh yeah, making it a bait and switch about another Jedi youngling who ended up escaping Order 66 and then again rendering lightsabers useless. Wow, she got stabbed in the gut by Anakin Skywalker and she didn't die. And oh wait, then later in the series, she got stabbed in the gut by Darth Vader with a lightsaber and she didn't die. In fact, it got her to a point where we're supposed to cheer for her, and then this is supposed to be her redemption arc because she didn't chase a young Luke Skywalker into the desert and didn't kill him. Jesus Christ. And that was, wasn't that also directed by Deborah Chow? She brought that to, I'm so glad that we give women these opportunities, and finally Charmin Obaid-Chinoy is going to take those opportunities, grab them right by the horns, and making a request that perhaps only he and 7 other Disney Star Wars fans truly want to see fulfilled. Obi-Wan Kenobi has asked audiences to write to Disney in order to petition them for a second season of the Disney Plus series. You have everybody willing to do it except for the audience, because they know that their love of this franchise is just going to be disrespected again. Almighty, you had Liam Neeson back as Qui-Gon Jinn, and he had him say 2 lines. Took you long enough? All right, let's go. Right at the end, in the most blatant example of Star Wars key jangling that you're likely to ever see. I can't believe how monumentally they screwed that up. Longtime franchise star made his plea during a February 3rd panel appearing at MegaCon in Orlando. This was that's sad. Following a conversation regarding his time on set filming the solo Star Wars series, McGregor revealed that at the end of the day, he was very happy with how the production ultimately turned out. Yep, check cleared. 6th episode really got to me, he told the crowd. I was just sitting there with tears rolling down my face, I guess, watching. I was so touched by it. I was so pleased, so happy. I was at the 6th episode. Is that how long the series was? I think that's how long the series was. Oh, the one where he leans over to a young Leia Organa, and it's like, yeah, here's that holster, because Leia had a holster in the OT, guys. It's great. We got a backstory on her holster. Got it from the chick who was holding onto a grenade the entire time when they were having that big fight scene against the Empire and all those stormtroopers outside of the base. She didn't throw her grenade to kill a bunch of stormtroopers, but instead just held onto it for a heroic sacrifice. That's her holster. That's going to be a really great story, and I'm so glad that we finally learned the origin of Leia's holster. But yeah, Obi-Wan gifts that to her, who's just simply supposed to be a friend of her father from the Clone Wars. Make that one make sense. Where he creepily leans over to her. It's like, you're 10 right now, but you won't always be 10. And then Chris Hansen peeks his head out of the Star Cruiser in the background. I was just sitting there, tears rolled down my face, I guess, watching. I was so touched by, I was so pleased by, so happy. I'm just so happy that we managed to do it, and also that we did it like that. The Birds of Prey, and oh my God. Yeah, actor continued. It's like, okay, listen, man, it's embarrassing enough that Ewan McGregor had to be a part of this Obi-Wan series. You don't need to, say that he was also a part of Birds of Prey. Come on, it's like, how much is enough? It was originally going to be a movie. Yes, that is true. And I've often thought, should it be a movie? Yeah, because Star Wars is a cinematic franchise. Like, let's keep it a buck. And I kind of think it's great that we did it that way. It's a longer story, a lot of fluff in that story. Lot of fluff, and hopefully it's more satisfying as a result. Well, it wasn't, Ewan. Sorry about that. We got more screen time to weave a story. Yep, really stupid one where he had to go on a fetch quest in order to get back Leia. She got kidnapped multiple times, and we got introduced to Reva. Yay. To this end, McGregor then admitted, I just hope we can do another, because the pay's good. Before turning to ask the MegaCon attendees for their help in making that happen. Can everyone just write to Disney? I'll give some email addresses at the end. Just say, "Dear Disney, let's have a bit more Obi-Wan Kenobi, please." In a sadistic kind of way, I kind of want it. If they just pare it down and then it's just, the journey, okay, a full introspection, exactly what they should have done in the first series, by the way, where it's Obi-Wan being taught by Force Ghosts, Qui-Gon Jinn, him having internal doubt about leading to the rise of the most powerful Sith in existence, how he's going to have to reconcile that, what he could have done differently, and that how, when the day is ultimately going to come, how he's going to raise Luke Skywalker. Like, it would have been really good if it was pared down, but nope, not enough lightsabers, not enough meaningless glowy baseball bat duels in the middle of a flat land. Fantastic. No more displays of force-breaking consistency where you have referencing that final battle, even though there shouldn't have been a final, but there shouldn't have been any battles between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader. But no, where you have Obi-Wan in the moment where, just a couple of episodes ago he couldn't use the Force, but now he's moving mountains behind him, raising up more rocks and rubble in the background than in the same place that he got horrifically burned a couple of episodes prior to that in order to throw them at Darth Vader. And only to, so you're gonna go ahead and retroactively contradict so much about the OT in order to close the one plot hole of Obi-Wan referring to Darth Vader as Darth during their final confrontation in A New Hope. You should be shot for putting that to screen. On Tatooine, not in real life. He has to ask during a 2023 interview with The Hollywood Reporter as to whether or not she and the actor talking about Deborah's stupid show had spitballed any idea for a potential season 2. Director Deborah Chow recalled, "You always think you're going to end a series like this in some magnificent way, but it's like, no, we got the Liam Neeson for a day. What are we going to do?" But instead, you end up in a parking lot with a second unit and hardly anybody was there. Oof. It's always so climactic, but as you and I finished our very last shot on second unit, and I was literally taking off my headphones. See, it's all about me. It's not about telling a good Star Wars story. He was already pitching me ideas for a season 2. This is the quintessential example of having a very talented actor wanting to come back and reprise a beloved role, but the audience being burnt so badly that they don't even want this. There's another 10 years worth of stories. I don't think it should be, and I don't think it's off the board, so never say never, but we really did conceive this to be a limited series. No, it's because nobody cared. It's just like the other Disney Plus series that just go out there to die, just to simply fill up minutes on a streaming service that people are leaving in the millions by. Mandalorian was popular. It ended up getting a second and third series. Is it going to get a fourth series? Don't know, but it's going to get a movie. Should be great. Brought to you by the people that delivered the third season, which has been so well regarded. And then take a look over on the Marvel side of this affair, and how many of those series are out there? One, I can't even remember all of them. And how many of them ended up getting a season 2? And how many of them are likely to get a season 3? One got a second season, and it's definitely not getting a third season because 40% of the audience dropped off, and we don't even have final viewing figures on that one. So Loki season 2 is definitely going to be an aberration. Kind of like the idea of Ewan McGregor coming back and reprising his role as Obi-Wan. Unbelievable. We're in this timeline, but we here now, thanks to Disney. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.